Today we answer the question, would a mediocre gamer like Michael Jordan Chaos in the Windy City? When I first saw this game, I thought, no shot, there's no way. But after realizing it was an actual title, I was dummy hyped to fire it up and try it. I was hoping it was as ridiculous as it looked. Now, this game was developed by Electronic Arts in 1994. This game is your typical side-scrolling platformer, but here's the never before used and will never be used again story. Michael Jordan is getting ready for an all-star charity game and gets to practice and realizes nobody else is there. Suddenly, a basketball crashes through the window with a note on it that says your teammates have been captured, and in order to rescue them, you need to meet at the museum tonight at midnight alone. But my question is, who in the world was strong enough to steal a roster of 7-foot-tall athletes? Thor? But who actually kidnaps them is an evil big brain scientist. You want to know his name? Ask me his name. It's Dr. Maximus Cranium. Maximus Cranium. So you follow the note and find an underground prison beneath the museum where some of your teammates are being held captive, and then it goes on from there. You have to collect keys to open doors where there will be coins, power-ups, your captive teammates, or enemies. And as expected, 100 coins give you an extra life. You ever heard the term, don't bring a knife to a gunfight? Okay, but what about a basketball? There is a strong enough force to capture an NBA All-Star team, but Michael Jordan is betting on himself here, and he feels all he needs is a basketball for a loadout. Speaking of, I love the commitment of how he dribbles the entire time, like one of the mad scientist henchmen will call him out for traveling. You will also collect different types of basketballs, each with their own ability. For example, there's a fireball, an ice ball that freezes your opponent, a super bounce ball, a bomb ball that explodes, and a baseball that for some reason acts as a boomerang. You can also slam dunk as an attack if you need to hit your opponent with a different angle, but the sweet spot to actually nail this mechanic is very difficult, especially if you're having to dodge enemy attacks like a flying eyeball shooting at you at the same time. There are random basketball goals planted along each level. Some goals drop needed keys, coins, or power-ups. You can also recover some health with a box of Wheaties or Gatorade, which is awesome. And speaking of product placement, at the end of each level you get this scoreboard screen with a Gatorade and Wheaties on the top. That lets you know all the bonuses you received and your total score, which if you're just trying to complete the game, doesn't really matter. The enemies consist of spiders, flying eyes, evil globs of goo, electric eels, basketball-headed zombies, and killer robot whistles. You know, the usual. But at least most have to do with the basketball in some way, like the zombies with basketball heads or the robotic whistles, you know, like a ref whistle. Or there are some enemies completely made out of basketballs. And then there are big mechanical spiders and goo. Someone on the dev team was like, can we throw in spiders and goo? And then everybody said, what does that have to do with basketball? And then he was like, it doesn't. But who here likes spiders and goo? So they threw it in. Now, if you're willing to accept the absurdity of this game and not take it too seriously, you can actually get into it. There's some pretty funny dialogue in this game too, like Michael telling Dr. Cranius that there was only one doctor in basketball and he retired. There's also some hidden rooms and doors that lead to little areas where you can pick up more loot. They are pretty hard to find, like you have to check every wall to make sure it's not one you can pass through, and the rooms are kinda lame. Don't involve any mini games or extra animal characters like Donkey Kong. Like, where's a different soundtrack? Where's a mini game? A companion? Anything to give this room some charm. We as mediocre gamers would need to visit this room because we're not that good and we could use the extra health or life. But if you're not a mediocre gamer, then this is all worth skipping. Call me bonus room spoiled, but I am what I am. Now, where this game falls apart is its controls. The game is really difficult, but not in the die and strategize harder to defeat a boss battle difficult. It's tough for the wrong reasons. The controls are loose and slippery. It's hard to even land a simple platform jump. God forbid that platform be a seesaw or one that disintegrates, because then you're just hoping to accidentally stick the landing. That combined with a camera shake and camera dragging makes a difficult game. Out of a game that's not really supposed to be. This game is either more difficult than it should be platforming, or there are two levels where you're on a train and then there's no platforming and it's laughably easy and just plain old dull. But here was the final straw for me. I got to the next to last level and found myself short one key. So I did what any normal person would do. I paused and looked up where the key was on YouTube. And there was multiple comments that said if you miss it, it kind of just disappears and you have to start from the beginning, which again was the final straw for me. And this is a shame because the graphics combined with the absurdity of the story really wanted me to welcome this game with open arms with a cold cult classic feel, but with the controls, the redundancy of the levels, this hidden key problem, it has made for an extremely frustrating experience. And as fun as mashing buttons to slam dunk over something shooting at me is, it only momentarily relieved my frustration. To put it plain, I'm a basketball fan and I was so excited to play this game. I was ready to overlook any flaws to sell this obscure game and how everybody else was just a bunch of high-nosers that really couldn't embrace such a silly game. But it eventually got to a place where playing this game seemed like a chore for the video. So I can't lie to you guys. And that's saying something, because I love to lie, but this is not a good game. I burned the midnight oil with some Dr. Peppers and did what I had to do for the video, but I was straight up not having a good time. And I hate it because it's so close to a good game. But if you want a ridiculous plot where Michael Jordan is the hero, I'd suggest just watching Space Jam again and be done with it. So in the end, when a mediocre gamer like Michael Jordan, Chaos in the Windy City, the answer is no.